Good morning and welcome to Sunday Morning with Walt.
For those of you that don't know me, my name's Walt. I'm down here in southern West Virginia. I'm a 53-year-old man who's, I've been writing books and doing some coaching, and we've got a bunch of videos, shorts and stuff out there. We're trying to get social media up and pumping so we could give the content away that I write for free. I write books, common, slow, practical ways for people to get on resets. You know, it's time people quit living in mama's basement and quit borrowing off grandma and grandpa and get out there and get a job and learn how to build a life. And people need to learn how to recover different circumstances and situations. So we got all that going on through the week. On Sundays, for 30 minutes, maybe an hour, depends on however long it takes. This is our time with God. Without God, I wouldn't have nothing that I have. My journey would not have been what it has been. It's been amazing, and I'll share some stories and stuff on these Sunday lives that I don't share actually through the week. So there's a lot here to take in, and guys, I'm gonna tell y'all now, we're gonna give God some glory, and we're gonna teach. We teach from the Bible on Sundays. Now through the week, we teach from my books. But any case, I'm just letting on a couple of people come on. It's right at 8 o'clock, so I am going to go ahead and get started. Guys, this is week 3 of Sundays with Walt. My name is Walt Adkins. I am the author of Crockpots and Common Sense, Farm to Fit, and a few others still standing. And you can find those titles at walteradkinsjr.com. I'm the old, irritated, fed up guy that, just calls it like it is. And, you'll see that in my shorts and whatnot. But today, as we put out there, we're going to talk this week. We're going to talk about Jonah and the whale. Okay. You'll find in the book of Jonah. You know what? I'm going to read you. We're just going to go ahead and read from the Bible right now. And, then I'm going to tell you a story that you haven't really paid attention to or heard from this story. Now, I'm only going to read the first part of this, but just bear with me here. Jonah, in the book of Jonah, chapters 1 through 4, which are all very short chapters, tells the story. But I'm going to focus on Jonah chapter 1 this morning specifically. Now, the word of the Lord came unto Jonah and the son of Amittai, saying, Arise, go to Nineveh, the great city, and cry against it, for their wickedness is come up before thee. But Jonah rose up to flee unto Tarshish from the presence of the Lord, and went down into Joppa. He found a ship going to Tarshish. So he paid the fare therefore, and went down into to go with them unto Tarshish from the presence of the Lord. But the Lord sent out a great wind into the sea, and there was a mighty tempest in the sea, so that the ship was like to be broken. Okay, so the Lord sent out a great wind to try to break the ship. Then the mariners were afraid and cried, every man unto his God, and cast forth their wares. Pay attention to this now. Cast forth their wares, the ware in the ship, into the sea to lighten it. But Jonah was gone down into the sides of the ship, and he lay down and was fast asleep. So the shipmaster, or the captain of the ship, came to him and said unto him, What meanest thou, O sleeper? Arise, call upon thy God. If so be that God will think upon us, that we not perish. Okay? The ship captain's scared of dying here. It's all hands on deck. Okay? And the boat's going to perish. He's throwing cargo overboard. And they said, everyone to his fellow, come and let us cast lots, that we may know for whose cause this evil is upon us. So they cast lots, and the lot fell upon Jonah. Then said they unto him, Tell us, we pray thee, for whose cause this evil is upon us. What is thine occupation, and whence comest thou? What is thy country, and of what people art thou? Who are you? And he said unto them, I am a Hebrew. I fear the Lord God, the God of heaven, which hath made the sea and the dry land. Then were the men exceedingly afraid, and said unto him, Why hast thou done this? For the man knew that he fled from the presence of the Lord because he had told them. Then he said unto him, what shall we do unto thee, that the sea may calm unto us? For the sea wrought and was tempest. And he said unto them, take me up and cast me forth into the sea, so the sea be calm unto you. For I know that my sake this great tempest is upon you. Nevertheless, the men rowed hard. They kept going. They kept that sucker on board. They rowed hard to bring it to land, but they could not, for the sea wrought and was tempest against them. Wherefore they cried unto the Lord and said, we beseech thee, O Lord, we beseech thee, let us not perish for this man's life, or lay not upon us his innocent blood, lay upon us in innocent blood, for thou, O Lord, hast done as it pleased thee. So they took up Jonah and cast forth into the sea, and the sea ceased from her raging. Then the men feared the Lord exceedingly, and offered a sacrifice unto the Lord, and made vows. Now the Lord had prepared a great fish to swallow up Jonah, and Jonah was in the belly of the fish 3 days and 3 nights. Now, that's chapter 1 of the story. Now, we're going to stop, and this is where we're going to get our teaching from this morning. I don't want to, the story of Jonah and the whale is I've heard it since I was in Bible school as a child. I'm 53 years old. I've heard it a bunch. And they always talk about, disobeying God and the consequences of disobeying God and this. But I've not heard anybody go back and look at this poor captain of this ship and his crew. Now, Jonah, who had disobeyed God, put these people in danger. This shipping captain, before Jonah come along to buy passage onto his ship, this shipping captain got out of bed one morning, real early. He had already spent a week loading a cargo hold of his ship. All right, and that wasn't an easy task. So the ship's loaded. It's ready to go. He's done went out and hired a crew, interviewed and called up his, buddy Joe and his brother Jim to make sure he's got enough hands. And he gets everybody down to the boat. And he thinks, we'll take on a couple of passengers here. So, if anybody wants a fare, we'll do that. We're trying to make some money here. We're going to feed our families. Well, here comes Jonah, pays his fare, crawls up on the boat. Man, the boat cuts dock. He woke up that morning with the purest of intentions of getting on that boat, delivering that cargo, and making a paycheck for he and his crew, and going home, kissing mama. But when he gets out to sea, man, God rips it wide open. And they start fearing for their lives. I mean, this is, I don't know if anybody's ever been on a cruise ship that's been caught at sea or anything like that. Man, when the water starts a-rocking and you're in a boat and you got a cargo hold full. So they started taking that cargo and tossing it overboard. That cargo was that man's money. He was paid to transport that to the next destination. Now it's gone in the bottom of the water. Who's responsible for it now? Now it's costing him money. All hands on deck, man. They're up on that deck and they're trying everything. The crew they're saving their lives, man. They're working hard to save their lives. And they realize, they look around and Jonah's nowhere to be found. And the captain goes downstairs and the sucker's sleeping. And he says, come on, we're going to cast lots and figure out who did this. Well, after some sniffing and searching and a little bit of confessing, they figure out Jonah's the culprit. He's the one that brought this on them. Well, you know what? They were mad. betcha they were mad. But you know what? At first, they're going to let that poor sucker hang out because they liked him. Because, Cousin Roger's my cousin, man. Or Sister Emily, that's family. That's my best friend. That's an acquaintance that I think's a kind guy. That's somebody I work with who, just a nice person. But at the end of the day, they tried to paddle through. They lightened the load. They tried to paddle through. Even after they found out, they tried to keep this poor sucker on board. Yeah, he's a poor sucker. Poor poor. You know, I've been around churches my whole life. I've been in and out of church preachers. I've seen the Pentecostals. I've seen the Baptists. I've been to all kind of different. Let me tell you something. Jonah was a sad sack, poor preacher. That's all he was. All right. That being said, when they finally got to the point, they said, we have no other choice. Let's ask God, let's ask God forgiveness and toss his butt overboard and offer sacrifice. As soon as they tossed his butt overboard and offered sacrifice, smooth sailing. That confirmed that idiot was in the bottom of your boat. Now, how many people have been in relationships where it's hunky-dory, you get to a point you kind of like, and then you finally, it's hard, but you finally break that tie. And when you do, a few days later, you find out that you were right all along in whatever the situation may have been. This is true in married divorce situations. This is true in friendship situations. This is true in all kinds of situations. But here's the point I'm going to make. That shipping captain never had a chance. He never had a chance to make the full day's wage that he got out of bed to set out to do. That shipping captain had turmoil in his life that day that he didn't create. That shipping captain, man, he had to solve problems that weren't his. And it cost him money. You know, the very thing he's out there working for. Without the money, why would you even, what was the purpose of getting out of bed? Because he needed that to sustain his family. Folks, I'm going to say that this morning so I can ask you this. If you're struggling and you're trying to get up, you're trying to reset your life after a hard something, whatever your situation may be, and something feels like just a lead weight holding you back, and your heart's clear, your mind's clear, your intentions are good, you're out there putting your hand to it the best way you know how, but you still drag an anchor. Now, I'm not telling you that this is an absolute fact, but you might want to look around you, because there might be somebody in your circle, might be somebody connected to your life, somebody that you think you're trying to help that you're actually enabling. It might be somebody that, there's so many possible situations here, but here's the deal, guys. You got to watch who's around you. And the people around you, that's the people that grow you. And if you're stuck and not growing, if you've got turmoil and you're not moving, if something's going on and you got your arms around a whole bunch of people but ain't nobody hugging you back, you need to look real hard at who's in the belly of your ship. Who are you throwing cargo overboard for? Who are you throwing your money away trying to help? What are you doing that somebody else is riding your coattails about to sink your ship? Now, folks, I believe every person on this planet matters. I matter. You matter. Everybody matters. In southern West Virginia here, we got a problem with the drug abuse situation. And, I don't stand judgment to anybody. I'm a recovered addict, and I'm not one here to cast lot or judgment on a single soul. But I will tell you this. I have seen people try to sink people. I have seen people take advantage of people to the point that it's just plumb ridiculous. I owned a little landscape company. I got news for you. Our tools were our right to work. I had tools stolen faster than I could buy them. Who's in the belly of your ship? Who's creating you problems that you have to clean up? Who's keeping you from moving forward? Well, guys, we'll take a little break right here. I see we got a lot of people on right now. And I just want to take a minute and ask you where you're from. Where are you guys watching from this morning? Drop me a little comment there and let me know. And guys, this is our third Sunday with Sunday Mornings with Walt. And the first week we talked about 1 Peter 5, 6, and 7. Humble yourself therefore in the mighty hand of God. He'll exalt you in due time. Cast all care upon him. He'll care for you. The second week we covered Hebrews 11:1. Now, faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. And we focused on the now, part, the part just before the present, when faith is released. And today we're talking about Jonah and the whale, and exactly how it affected not Jonah. I mean, guys, the story of Jonah is simple. Jonah was disobedient. He didn't listen. He was a sad sack preacher who jumped on a boat, took out to sea. The boat was rocked. He was tossed. A fish ate him. 3 days he carried him in his belly, become so rancid in his stomach, he threw him up on a beach. And the sucker gets up and finally says, well, I think I'll go do my job. Well, guys, if you've got a job to do, go do it. All right, real simple. All right, we've all heard the story. But the story is about the captain and the crew. What happened to those folks? Who's in the belly of your ship today? Who's in the belly of your ship? So where we chiming in from this morning? I see a whole bunch of people. And guys, I'm completely new to this TikTok world and all these other social medias. The fact is my name is Walt Adkins. I live here in southern West Virginia. Before 2013, I had lived a whole bunch of life, had a whole bunch of bad experiences, a lot of my choices that were just horrible, and I paid the consequences for them. And at 2013, we coined Walt's Journey. Walt's Journey was just happening. Man, I sold some pies at a farmer's market as my first little business. And then I grew and did some more things. Moved down to Wilmington, North Carolina, and then moved back up to West Virginia, where I started a landscape company and a handyman service. From a landscape company to a handyman service, we were doing well. I mean, I had built in just a few years to $500,000 a year business. And my health began to fail. I was diagnosed with COPD and right side heart failure, and I was told I had 2 years to live, and that was my expiration date was before December. But see, one doctor told me, he said, I'll be surprised you make it to Christmas 2024. And I said, okay. Guys, I was piling on weight faster than I could understand. I was already a big guy, and all of a sudden I gained 150 pounds. That's huge on an already big guy. I couldn't go to work. I couldn't manage employees, it appeared. So at the end of the day, I had a couple of surgeries and I sat down to die. Well, my father passed in October, and I don't know what snapped in me, but at that time, I was 463 pounds. Just had surgeries, and I could barely walk myself to the bathroom. Oxygen full-time, 24/7, couldn't leave the house without it. Required assistance to get to the car. And I said, you know what? I know my God. And these doctors all coming up with this stuff and throwing these pills down my throat. And I'm a nutritionist, and they're trying to get me on GLP-1s and get insurance approval and all that crap. And I finally said, I've had it. How does this stuff actually work? Well, it's been rumored for years that I had written a book called Walt's Journey, Live Your Best Life Now, which that book is yet to come out, by the way. But I've took the notes from that book that I've kept for the last 30 years, and I wrote my first guidebook, Crock Pots and Common Sense, back in November. And then after writing Crock Pots and Common Sense, I got to thinking about it, and I thought, work ethic's a real problem. And people don't know how to go out and get a job and get started. Everybody has a want and a wish, but nobody has the know-how to get started because old heads ain't sharing the information. So I wrote the book, Earn Not Given. Well, that proceeds, and so Earn Not Given, that self-explanatory title. We go from there, and I wrote I wrote 5 books total, okay? Then I turned one book into an initiative. Then I thought, now how am I going to get this out? Well, I had guys, I still have it, a broken iPhone, a borrowed Wi-Fi access. The person that nursed me back to health, a good friend of mine who just said, hey, here. And we have built a website with 5 books. We have built a YouTube teaching series around Farm to Fit. It's right now, I've got 7 of the 11 teachings posted on the YouTube. So please go there and watch those. And it talks about how I went from 463 pounds. Right now, I just broke 380, headed down, baby. And I'm losing more every day. I'm managing without oxygen. I am using a CPAP or BiPAP at night, or whatever you want to call this stupid thing. The thing that sucks your brains out all night long, it feels like. But I'm feeling great, and I'm getting better. And doctors told me I was going to die a couple years ago. I'm telling y'all, I'm taking 30 more years. I'm going to see 80, and I've heard Steve Harvey say he's going to be an expert cusser when he turns 100. Well, I'm going to get started when I'm 75. All right. At the end of the day, I'm going to be here. I'm going to be here for my kids. I'm going to be here. I'm going to be here. I don't know. So anyway, I'm here to help other people start their journeys because I have lived it the hard way. I have not known the questions nor the answer. I didn't know the question to ask, much less the answer to get. And I went out here and I busted my ass, and I've got myself back up a couple of times. This time from a health journey, from a body that wouldn't walk across the floor. Folks, this last week I've walked through three different grocery stores and one convenience store and got out and pumped my own gas. And here's one that messed me up. I went to pick a friend up from the airport in Roanoke. I got over next to what's the name of that little town? Calawaba. There's a gas station over there. I get out, I park at the far pump, I go in, I pay for some gas. Grab me a candy bar or whatever. I shouldn't be eating that kind of garbage, but I did. And I told the lady, I said, just a few weeks ago, I couldn't walk in here. I was so excited. I'm still so excited when I can do stuff that I couldn't do before. And I'm feeling amazingly great. So I shared my little story, but I didn't tell her about none of the social media presence. Well, I walked out and I pumped my gas. Guys, I hold my hand to God on everything holy. And this woman at that store can tell you, I turned around as soon as I hung gas pump up, and a truck pulls up, and a gentleman with an oxygen hose holds a $20 bill out the window and said, "Sir, will you go ahead and pay for my gas and pump it?" I can't. And I thought, that was me a few weeks ago. Not months ago, not years ago. That was me a few weeks ago. I took the man's money and went inside and I looked at the lady. I said, "You are not going to believe this." And she said, "What?" And I told her, and she started crying. "Praise God, son, whatever you're doing, make sure you go do it." Well, I am. I'll tell you what, the first time I came up in 2013, built the landscape company and restored life, I said I was coming up and I was going to take 1 million people with me. Well, guys, with the health setback and everything that happened and whatnot, coming back up this time is personal, much harder, very personal. But I'm taking 10 million people with me. So my books, all 5 of them are available at walteradkinsjr.com. We have social media presences everywhere. I'm known as guys, here's the deal. I'm a fed up old guy who just calls it like it is, but I also teach the common sense, basic methods that sustain. We live in a technology world. Everything's fast. Everything's now. Everybody wants everything. Well, listen, the stuff that's being lost, okay, these things that are common sense are becoming lost arts. Grandma and Grandpa have passed away. I'm the new era of Grandma and Grandpa. And if we don't share this at our generation, the younger generation, it's going to be lost. In any case, if you're on a weight loss journey, we're promoting Farm to Fit right now. And anybody that emails me at info@walteradkinsjr.com, I will send them a free copy and go over and watch the free teaching series. Guys, this is not for influencers, and it's not for people that already have routine. This is not fancy. This is for people who need to build up their stamina. People that need to learn to get control of their body. People get older. Things happen. Stuff happens. In any case, that's enough about that promo stuff. But guys, here's what we're here this morning for. We're here this morning because today is the third part. This is our third Sunday. This is the third teaching on Sundays with Walt. And we talked about this morning the story of Jonah and the whale. And I read from chapter 1, and this replay will be up later for anybody that wants to watch it. I started reading from chapter 1, and we went back and, we know the story. Jonah, disobedient preacher, buys passage, crawls on a ship. Ship gets tossed. Jonah gets thrown overboard. Jonah gets in the belly of a fish, whale, whatever. Swims up after 3 days and throws the poor sucker up on a beach. Okay? Rancid. Good. Don't care about Jonah. Not right now. What I care about is that captain. The captain and his crew. Now, week 1, again, we talked about 1 Peter 5, 6, and 7, how to humble yourself, therefore, under the mighty hand of God, that he may exalt you in due time, cast all care upon him, and he may care for you, or he will care for you. Okay? That's 1 Peter 5, 6, and 7. Basically, I told a story about a peanut butter and jelly sandwich and my daughter. But what we have to do is we have to stay humble under God's mighty hand, not create any messes, let him care for us and go before us and bring us what we're due in our due time. Okay? You can go back and watch that replay. That replay is really bad, and I tell you what, I will re-record that sometime because that was our first Sunday. We had lighting issues. I was so nervous I was shook like a leaf. But anyway, the second week we talked about Hebrews 11:1. Now, faith is the substance of things hoped for and the evidence of things not seen. We talked about what faith is, and we talked about what hope is, and we talked about what the evidence of things not seen were. But what we focused on was now, faith is. It doesn't say now faith is. Now, faith is. It's separated the now. Now meaning the time just before the present. That is where faith is released. Wrap your brain around that real quick. Now, by Merriam-Webster Dictionary, now is defined as the moment just before the present. Guys, there's a ton of people on here. Good morning to everybody. I see you all coming. But now is where faith is released, okay? That's the moment just before that's when the spark happens. That's when the thought happens. That's when the immediate action happens. Now, that's when faith is released, okay? So that's the second week. The third week, we talk about the captain, Jonah and the whale, but we're talking about the captain and crew today, okay? The captain and crew, the captain got out of bed that morning. The crew got out of bed that morning. They had been working all week to get the ship stocked. They went out and found them some cargo, man. They were going to haul across the water. They were going to make them some money. And they know, shipping's dangerous, but they're going to get the cargo where it needs to go. So goods are moving, okay? But here comes Jonah, buys passage on the ship, which the shipping captain's glad to take his money, climbs on the ship, and in his turmoil, God tosses the boat. So the captain finds himself in a hell of a bad storm. Okay? And he calls all men on deck, starts throwing cargo overboard. They're trying to figure out what's going on. They figure out sad sack preachers down in the basement, down in the belly of the ship sleeping. They go pull his butt up. They're trying to throw cargo over to lighten the load to stabilize the boat. They're trying to save their lives. Okay? Seriously. And this sucker down there sleeping. So they bring him up. They cast lots. They figure out it's him. He confesses what's going on. He says, I know what's happening. And they said, okay. And they tried to keep him. They tried to row through. They done throw the cargo overboard. Right now, they're risking life and limb to save this guy. And finally, when they couldn't row back into shore, and it was physically impossible, when they exhausted everything that they could exhaust. Keep in mind, they got out of bed that morning just wanting to go make some money. Been working all week getting the boat loaded. And finally, they said, we got to do what we got to do. And they prayed to God, and they threw his butt overboard. Where the fish ate him and goes throws him up on the beach 3 days later. Yada, yada, yada. Don't care. That captain then gave an offering unto God. And the water calmed down. Who's responsible for the cargo that got thrown overboard? How many men actually did lose their lives? Did any? Did anybody get hurt? Everybody knows they're scared to death. What about all the wives and kids back at home have no clue what just happened? What about the people that did the shipping, that sent the product to go overseas, who paid this guy the passage? What about the consumers on the other end that were waiting on that product? I mean, we go deep here. Because of one man, because of one person, the effect was huge. Guys, I'm going to tell you something. Everybody has somebody in their circle. Everybody has somebody they should cut loose. Everybody has somebody they're rowing like hell to get to the shore and can't get there, and know that that's the sucker they need to cut loose to get there. Not what a lot of people want to hear this morning, I'm sure. Because you know what? I got people in the belly of my ship too that I love dearly. And it's hard. It's hard sometimes because I miss a lot of them. But I'm going to tell you something. Since I cleaned out the belly of my ship, guys, I've lost 80 pounds since October. I couldn't walk to the bathroom with oxygen and a cane. But yet I walked to the car. I did a job last week. I was very tiny when I muddled through. I drove to Roanoke, dropped a friend off, went back to pick him up. I've been walking every day. My presence on social media is increasing. So this whole content creator, author thing that I'm doing is getting there, starting to pay off. So I've got a new career. I've got, a new presence. I've got a new feel. And guys, the hair and beard, I'll be honest, I'll tell you something. I haven't shaved or cut my hair since my daddy died. I didn't expect it to grow long. To be honest with you, I've let it go before and it did not do this. I kind of liking it. But anyway. Good morning, everybody. So the point this morning is, who's in the belly of your ship? Who are you going to cut loose so that you can move forward? What do you got going on in your life? Let's rearrange this a second. Are you the person in the belly of somebody else's ship? That just stung somebody. Are you that person? Then do them a favor. Go jump overboard. Put some distance between you for their sake. Let them advance. Let them go forward while you figure out what it is you need to get done. I ain't gonna lie, guys. There's been times throughout my life that I've been the person in the belly of somebody else's ship. Yeah, that's a hard one. That's a hard one to understand and accept. Where are you guys coming in from today? I didn't. I get all these little things that say invite, but I got a lot of more that say joined, and we got a lot of people on here. So, guys, I just want to know where you guys are from. Just if you would, drop me a note. Let me know where you're from. And in any case, I just wanted to come on this morning because I said I would. Today is week 3 of Sunday Mornings with Walt, and it's been a great time this morning out here on the porch with all the sounds and sights. And I love my Appalachian home. I love my Appalachian heritage, and I love where I grew up. And more so than that, I love you, and I appreciate you being here this morning. Now we're building up some stuff. We're going to start a podcast through the week. We haven't got there yet. I thought I was going to start last week. We did not get it done. I've been busy building AI coaching videos for Farm to Fit and getting them put up on YouTube, and that's been a chore, boy. But and then I want to do them for all 5 books, so we're going to be busy with that. So, but anyway, I will get a podcast going here pretty quick. Anybody interested in any of my books, by the way, you can always email info@walteragensjr.com, and I will send you a free PDF manuscript of my books. If you want a paperback or a Kindle, the Amazon links are on my website, walteragensjr.com. Again, I'm the author that writes about, steady, slow wisdom to help people move from point A to point B. If you feel stuck in your life, I don't care what the situation is. If you feel stuck, if you feel like you're not where you belong, if you feel like, hey, I can do better, get better, I probably got a book for you. Go over and check out the website. There's some blogs written there. Check out my social media channels. I've got plenty of content out there. Some just calling people out, because it is what it is. I just released a little series that I did of what people owe you. What your parents owe you, what your job owes you, what you're entitled to. And I'm gonna tell you something. Those are, across the platforms are seeing 2,000 and 3,000 views, and that's a good sign. So, in any case, I'm gonna continue, guys. I'm not giving up. I'm the old guy in yellow glasses. I like my yellow glasses. I like my yellow hat. Hey, that's Barnwood Living. Good friends over there in White Sulphur. But in any case, guys, I appreciate you being here this morning. I encourage you to check everything out on on my grid here and on my other social media platforms as well. And I encourage you to check out the website. We're in full development, and things are going well. Any case, anybody got any idea, any topics anybody want covered next week specifically? I think I'm going to talk about seed time and harvest and sowing seed. I think that's going to be our week 4. So, first week, humble yourself under the mighty hand of God, and He may exalt you in due time. Cast all care upon Him, and He'll care for you. Week 2, we talked about how to release our faith in the now. Now, faith is the substance of things that hope for, the evidence of things not seen. And today we talked about Jonah and the whale, but not about Jonah necessarily as much as who he was to the captain and crew, and how one person impacted the lives of a whole bunch of people that got out of bed with good intentions. That's all I got today. Folks, I love you. And I hope you have a great rest of your day, and know that you absolutely matter. You really do. I'll see you later. And by the way, go over on my stuff, man, and start liking and sharing. I need to get followers up, and I need to get the interactions out there. Guys, this is a big deal. The more, the more people that help me by liking and sharing, the more I can share and the more I can do. So I'm here for you. I'm here for people. And this is Walt, and you guys have a great rest of your day. Love you.
Be sure to join us next week when we talk about seed time and harvest. More info is available at walteradkinsjr.com.